Nets' upcoming schedule is brutal. They're 8th in the East as a result of that, partly. KD is coming off injury. Will this team put it all together for a playoff run?
I think they will. I think when you look at the Lakers last year, everybody, the Lakers stumbled into the postseason. They had to they had to go through the play-in game, but they were still banged up going into the postseason. This team has a chance to have 20 games. There's conversation about the vaccine mandate being lifted. KD is obviously going to come back healthy. I bet you if this was the postseason, he probably could have played before the All-Star break. That was just extra time for him to work and get himself into shape. And then Ben Simmons, I think they're going to be cautious with him. But ultimately, when you put this team together, can they win 7 out of 8? Can they win 8 out of 10? 100%. So to look at those numbers, but the only thing that I look at is they have to avoid the play-in game because you don't want to go against Chicago in the first round. You don't want to go against Miami in the first round because those are teams that you want to get your momentum and play well. So ultimately, this is not their team, but there is a little cause of caution, not necessarily concern.
I just remember that KD and Kyrie in the playoffs were having their way with the eventual world champions, right? They were beating them pretty easy. Even that one game that the Bucks won at home, there was no James Harden. There isn't James Harden now, but there should be Ben Simmons, right? And in addition to that, it was a close game that the Nets defense looked good in, right? So just KD and Kyrie looked like too much for him, but they do have Simmons. They do have Seth Curry. Remember, Joe Harris couldn't shoot to save his life last year. They did bring in Seth Curry. If they're fully loaded, and they could eventually get Kyrie, as you just said, to play in home games. Are you taking Brooklyn or the field, RJ?
I'm still going to take the field because I think people underestimate how hard it is to win a championship. You need things to be lucky. You need to be healthy. You need a laundry list of things. The East, I'm still taking the field, but very cautiously. It's hard to say, oh, well, they have all the talent. We've seen that before. I've been on teams like that before. You need things to be now, you ask me this question in 10 days, in 2 weeks, it's a completely different answer. But right now, I'm basically trying to answer that question blindly. We haven't seen Ben Simmons yet. We have KD obviously isn't, in his form yet. And then Kyrie, there's still questions. So I am not going to sit up here and say with 3 questions to your 3 superstars that I'm still going to take them over the field. I think that that's a bit, disrespectful to the guys that have been grinding this entire process.
Ready for this? I don't care who's been grinding what. If they have KD and Kyrie and most of their other guys, I'm taking the Nets over the field easy. How do you like that? Easy. It won't even be that hard.
I love it. If you give me those 3 guys on the court at the same point in time with Patty Mills, with Seth Curry, I'm sorry. Those guys are going to be an absolute problem.
A problem. Let's talk about Simmons specifically because the Sixers guard, Danny Green, was on his podcast earlier this week and said this about moving Simmons to Brooklyn. Listen.
Interesting dynamic of how things went down. Interesting dynamic of who went with him. I don't know. I haven't got a chance to talk to those guys yet, but I know they weren't on the most of cordial terms when he was in Philly with Drum and Seth. So I wonder how that relationship is now. I got a chance to talk to them.
So here's what Seth Curry had to say about if Simmons should apologize for how things went down in Philly. Quote, I understand the business. He doesn't need to apologize to anybody. When he's on the court, I know he's going to do his job and he's going to do what he does. I don't take anything personal. When we're on the court, we're teammates. RJ, Ben Simmons, when he was playing, when he was active, created more open looks from 3 than any player in the league since he entered the league, right? He actually helps your 3-point shooting. And he's, as I said, Joe Harris, if he gets back, Seth Curry, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. On the other hand, he's so scared of shooting and even taking free throws that he doesn't want to drive with aggression and stuff. All this said, what do you think about what you heard from Danny Green, Seth Curry, and how Ben Simmons fits in here?
Well, part of being a professional means that, you go and do your job. And that's how you are judged. It doesn't mean I have to like you. It doesn't mean I have to go to dinner with you. It doesn't mean I have to hang out with you. It just means that you have to do your job at a professional level. And so I think that's where some of the tension came, is that if he's not here to do his job, he's affecting how much money I can make, how many wins I can, the extension of my career. So I think players always look at what you can do for me. And if you're not currently doing it, that's going to cause tension. But I will say this about Ben Simmons, and I know we're talking about he's afraid to shoot the ball. Well, you don't really need to shoot the ball when you got KD and you got Kyrie Kyrie and you got all those weapons around you. And secondly, if he never does anything on the offensive end, what he brings to their table on the defensive end, you can say, hey, Ben, you got Giannis. Hey, Ben, you got DeMar. Hey, Ben, you got any player up and down this league. He can guard Bam Adebayo. He can guard Jimmy Butler. So the versatility that he brings on the defensive end might be unmatched to any player in this league. And so for me, I look at like where he can contribute most is most likely on the defensive end. And then after that, his assist and all those things are positive for the Nets. So it's more about where he can contribute. And I think that defensive end, they will be overjoyed to have him on that end of the floor.
Yeah, when Seth Curry says do his job, create those open looks from three, because Seth Curry barely needs an open look. He's probably hitting a three right now somewhere. Meantime, defensively, you're right. What Ben Simmons said about Gobert when he's the best defensive player, Ben Simmons is like, hold up, I can legit guard 5 positions. He's right. Ben Simmons might be the best defensive player in the game. All right, well, maybe Thibault. RJ, let's play a game of Beard or Ben. Who's under more pressure? Beard or Ben? Which one, RJ?
Who is under more pressure? I'm going to say, look, I think Ben is probably under a little bit more pressure from the standpoint of this. From the standpoint of this, you still haven't seen him play. But with where the pressure comes in for James Harden is that this team believes that he is the final piece. He's got Daryl Morey. He's finally got the big man. He has publicly stated that this is where he wanted to go in the first place. He is also now on his 3rd team in 3 years. So I think for James Harden, it's not a matter of pressure. The dude's an MVP. He understands pressure. But as far as like, what else is there that you can be given? I think this is all the things that are set up for him to go and dominate.
The answer is James Harden. He can't blow this one. All right.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.